gone back at it to define exactly what is a catch. The league has continued to struggle with that definition, and the latest iteration of the catch was approved today unanimously, 32-0 by the owners. And here's a look at the other rule changes that also passed today. Touchbacks resulting from free kicks will now be placed at the 25-yard line. The biggest rule change is the revision of the catch rule, as I mentioned, approved by all 32 NFL owners, and the officiating department in New York now has the power to instruct game officials to eject a player. That is a change as well. We'll go back now to Orlando at the owners' meetings where Sal Paolantonio anchors our coverage with Mort and Adam.
Hello there, Wendy. We got the great Adam Schefter here and the great Chris Mortensen. It's a big, big day. We got a new catch rule in the National Football League, and I can tell you, football fans across America are rejoicing. The catch rule was like the U.S. tax code. Nobody could figure it out, right? We couldn't figure it was a catch or not a catch, but now we can do it, Mort. What do you got?
Well, yeah, we think we can do it until we get to the unintended consequences once the season begins.
Let's first tell people what it is before we extinguish the excitement.
Control.
Okay.
2 feet down or a body part, such as a knee.
That's simple.
Such as a knee. And then a football move, or the ability to make that football move. In other words, the ball can move in ways it can still be considered control. And then it's a catch. The whole idea that if the ball comes out when you hit the ground, that's no longer going to be a factor in terms of determining whether or not it's a catch.
Before I get to the idea of there's unintended consequences, the idea behind this is to make it clearer, 1. 2, put it back into the hands of the officials on the field. And 3, get something better that's not sacrificed at the altar of something that's perfect, right? They wanted to get something better.
Well, listen, and that's the idea of this. The idea is to simplify it, come up with exactly what Mort's talking about, control, 2 feet down, a football act, and they're hoping that that makes it better. But as Mort said, I think the concern here, and some people around the league have alluded to it, is what is going to constitute a football act once you catch the football. And there are going to be some decisions that come up on some replays that we're not anticipating right now, but I can tell you people around the league actually are. Yeah. And in sitting this morning with John Gruden, he was talking about the fact that replay at this point in his mind just slows down the game. It's bang, bang. He'd like to see it done the way it was back in the schoolyard, where there's no replay. You make the best call because it happens so fast. It takes away the rhythm of the game.
Yourselves? Is this what
correct.
Sal, I will still maintain, as I did yesterday, that I think we saw this rule in action during the Super Bowl when the Eagles played the Patriots.
There is no question about that.
All of that, I think, was in action at that
I
that
talked
game.
to Al Riveron yesterday after the press conference, the vice president officiating, and it was pretty clear to me that it was already in place when they ruled on the Zach Ertz catch for the touchdown and the Corey Clement catch for a touchdown. When he had those conversations, he was in New York, Troy Vincent sitting next to him, with Gene Steratore, the referee, on the field. They were having that conversation, and they were basically legislating on the fly during the Super Bowl, and now we've seen it enacted unanimously by the owners. And I'm just going to say, unintended consequences or not, this is an exciting day. We know what a catch is, at least for the time being. What do you got on the second rule that was passed, the so-called Gronk rule?
Well, everybody remembers that hit on Rob Gronkowski, and Rob Gronkowski made it on the Buffalo player.
Yeah, Tre'Davious White,
if it was flagged on the play, because he was flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct or personal foul, whatever it was, if it was flagged and it's a non-football act, and they see it at the control center in New York, they can then call the game field and say he needs to be ejected. And that's exactly what will happen.
By the way,
and so they approved that, giving the authority to New York on a non-football act, personal foul that was flagged.
And New York, just to be clear, it's not impersonal New York. It's Al Riveron with Troy Vincent sitting next to him, as well as John Runyon, the league's enforcement chief. Those 3 guys will get together and look at it, and now the decision can be made in New York to eject that player. What do you got, Adam?
Look, it's a step in the right direction. Everybody remembers the outcry that there was after Gronk hit Tre'Davious White and was not ejected and was just penalized. Everybody could watch the play clear as day and see that he violated the rules. And I believe he was suspended the next week anyway. He should have had to sit out the next game. The league is putting into place a system where that in the future is not going to be allowed
Real quickly,
to happen.
let's talk about one other thing. Is that was the pass interference penalty change that the New York Jets proposed. They pulled their proposal because there wasn't support. And the bottom line is that the Jets and some other teams, some other defensive coaches want to make pass interference a 15-yard penalty and not a spot foul. What happened there, Adam?
It just never gained any type of support amongst the competition committee. It was not going to ever pass. And because it wasn't going to pass, the Jets just simply withdrew it.
But there were defensive coaches,
Yes.
and I mentioned Mike Tomlin of the Steelers, although he's a head coach, but the guys who have defensive backgrounds and secondary backgrounds who made the case inside their meetings that this is not going to work because defensive backs and coaches are too savvy, and this game would turn into a mockery in their belief, even though it has a little support, but they threw it out. It's been withdrawn, and it's not going to be part of
But
it.
the bottom line is they have to do something about this egregious personal.
That's what you say. I don't think they have to do something.
4,671 yards penalized on pass interference last year. That's a lot. That's more passing yards than a lot of teams have. Morton had them. Wendy, we'll be here all day at the owners at the NFL annual meeting. Anything you want, we'll give it to you, Wendy.
Sal, perfect. We'll be right back there. Listen, because we could talk about this all day, really, the catch rule, because we're talking about it now because we did talk about it all day, almost every Monday during the regular season. It seemed like every week that's what we were turning to instead of who won what. It was, is that a catch? Tim, I think the biggest takeaway, if I'm understanding it correctly, is that this is no longer about surviving the ground, that once you've caught the ball, you've caught it, which I for one, like, but I'll get your thoughts.
I want to do this. I don't think we should gloss over what Mort said and what Sal also confirmed talking to Al Riveron. Basically saying that the Zach Ertz play and Corey Clement play in the Super Bowl were ruled differently. That this was an action before a vote.
Yeah.
That were ruled differently. That changes the biggest and most important game of the season. That's a massive thing. That's a big deal. Now, to get to the rule change, look, I think all of these plays look like a catch, and they should be ruled as a catch, and that is a good thing. And so it's better than what it was, because things that look like a catch are now catches, and they should have always been. The issue now becomes there are going to be plays where it's, what's a football move? Is turning your head to look upfield a football move? Was Dez really reaching for the goal line? All of that stuff. And so not everyone's going to be happy. People are still going to disagree on stuff. But the stuff that looks like a catch and feels like a catch, it'll be ruled as
Which I think at least is a start. But you heard Mort say, you know, this is good for now until we see the unintended consequences. I think you referred to that. The unintended consequences is subjective a bit what a football move is.
Well, it's going to be fumbles. There's
Right,
going to be more
fumbles. They'll be, right.
So how this practically shows up as an NFL player, you're going to see an individual period, maybe 5 or 10 minutes of practice each and every day for sure defensive players working on scoop and score. And what I mean by that, ball's on the ground, you're running real fast. You usually see that first player has a hard time picking it up. It's not a round ball. So scoop and score drills, working on plays that you think, oh, that's been an incompletion in the past. We're going to go pick up that ball and we're going to try to score, whistle or no whistle. This is going to be a point of emphasis for coaches with players right away in OTAs.
But you know what, Diana? Now they can do that. Now we know the rule. It's been approved. It's what, March? It's the end of March. They can do that now from here until the start of the season, knowing that's what they'll play
Well,
with.
apparently they started in the Super Bowl doing this rule, which you know, Tim and I looked at each other when they were saying it, like, is that true? Did that happen? And if you're a Patriots fan, you're sitting there kind of like, really? That's how that went down. But you know, there's still going to be room for error. This is not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. It's why it hasn't been able to be figured out just yet. Do I think it's getting a little bit closer to that? Yes. I sort of like John Gruden's theory this entire time since he's gone back to Oakland to take over for the Raiders, which let's go back to the way we did it. What do you say?
I love
1998.
We spent 2 months insisting that he's going to get with the times and that he's ready to identify with the young players.
Well, when in doubt, it's like the old playbook for him, right? For it to work, but it's still not going to be perfected. But it seems like it may be a little bit closer now.
Listen, at the end of the day, if it looks like a catch and
Feels like a catch.
Feels like a catch.
I just don't want to say survive the ground anymore, so I'm happy about that.
It is a catch. Coming up, we know the Browns are almost certain to pick a quarterback first overall next month. But which one will it be? Or better yet, which one should it be? Our two quarterback brothers break it down straight ahead.